Inviting strangers into their home, testing out dating apps, and sharing their personal habits with the world, it's safe to say that Mila Kunis and Ashton Kutcher have a pretty weird relationship. Mila Kunis and Ashton Kutcher both first became famous when they were starring on the sitcom That 70s Show, which premiered in 1998. Kunis was actually younger than people thought when she joined the cast. She was only 14 when she auditioned, even though she implied to the casting directors that she would be 18 soon. Kutcher, meanwhile, was 20 when the show started. Their characters were romantically linked, and she had a crush on him behind the scenes, but that didn't prevent things from getting awkward when they had to kiss on camera during the first season. During a 2002 appearance on The Rosie O'Donnell Show, Kunis went into detail about her memories of the scene. As she put it, "I've never kissed a guy. I was a 14-year-old little girl, and I was extremely scared for my life." Their co-star Danny Masterson even bet Kutcher that he wouldn't try to French kiss Kunis, which he apparently did, despite promising to keep her comfortable. However, as Kunis insisted, "I didn't let him. I think he tried." Even though they played a couple on That 70s Show, Kutcher and Kunis' real-life romantic relationship took a while to get going. He famously married Demi Moore in 2005, while she had her own long-term relationships, including with Home Alone star Macaulay Culkin. During a 2016 episode of The Late Late Show, Kunis explained how they eventually got together.
And in our 20s, always kept in touch on, AOL iChat.
Oh, yeah.
They ran into each other at an awards show, and Kunis found herself attracted to her former co-star for the first time. Kutcher invited her over to a housewarming party, and it turned out that he had an ulterior motive, although not the one you might expect.
I found out later in life that my husband was trying to set me up on a blind date with one of his best friends that night.
That date didn't quite work out, though. After all, Kunis was interested in Kutcher instead.
It's all meant to be.
In 2011, Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis found themselves on opposite sides of a look-alike movie situation. He was starring alongside Natalie Portman in No Strings Attached, while she was starring alongside Justin Timberlake in Friends with Benefits. Both movies were about couples in casual relationships who might just have deeper feelings for each other. During a 2023 interview with Vanity Fair, Kutcher noted that the coincidence took on even greater significance once he and Kunis finally got together.
The way we ended up together was through a relationship that was very much a Friends with Benefits, No Strings Attached relationship that became something more than that.
Kunis said much the same thing during a 2018 appearance on the podcast WTF with Mark Maron. As she put it, "We lived our movies out where we were like, let's just hook up, let's have fun. We're both single, we both trust each other, everything's great." After a few months, Kunis realized that she was falling in love with her former co-star. Instead of breaking off the arrangement, he asked her to move in with him. As she explained, "And so we never dated. We hooked up for 3 months and then we moved in together." When Kutcher and Kunis finally got married, they took their time telling anyone. At the end of 2014, he posted on Facebook a photo of a message written in sand that read, "Happy New Year, the Kutchers." Then, when Kunis appeared on the Ellen DeGeneres show, the host asked her to explain the caption, but she demurred, "We could just be a plural. My daughter has his last name legally, so thus there's multiple Kutchers." But it turned out that they had indeed gotten married and that they had gone on a rather strange honeymoon, an RV trip with Kutcher's parents. As Kunis quipped during an appearance on The Tonight Show,
Our honeymoon was like a real-life National Lampoon's honeymoon.
So they drove their modest RV, while Kutcher's parents tagged along in their own, considerably nicer vehicle.
My in-laws are in what my husband coined as like the Taj Mahal of RVs, okay? It is like a double pop-out.
Kutcher and Kunis also had to deal with plenty of misadventures during the trip. Their air conditioner broke, they got lost and had to walk for miles, and they had to navigate around boulders. They were so disgusted by the time they ended up near Napa Valley that they decided to abandon the RV and fly home instead.
And 3 years later, we really like each other.
Ashton Kutcher isn't just an actor. He's also an in-demand tech investor. Some of the apps that he's invested in include Airbnb, Uber, and Skype. However, he declined to invest in Snapchat as he didn't understand the appeal. In general, he tries to like whatever companies he ends up backing. As he put it during an appearance on The Howard Stern Show, "I eat the dog food. Whatever it is, I try it first." Occasionally, Kutcher ropes his wife into testing out the apps on his behalf. He even asked her to sign up for Tinder during one of its early phases.
I'm on this thing going, what is this? Like swiping things left and right. I was like, this is amazing.
Kunis also tried out Grindr on Kutcher's behalf, though we don't imagine she had too much luck with it. Many couples have silly habits that they only do in the privacy of their own homes, but most of them don't have massive platforms to reveal those quirky behaviors to the rest of the world. Mila Kunis and Ashton Kutcher, on the other hand, are a famous Hollywood couple who have occasionally shared their home life with their fans. Case in point, the time that Kunis admitted that they leave all the doors in their house open, including the bathrooms.
For better or for worse, as a family and the kids have all kind of embodied bodily function as a very standard norm.
This surprising disclosure confused some observers who took to social media to express their displeasure. As one person tweeted, "We should all know less about one another," while another declared, "Everything I hear about this family is against my will." Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis' bathroom habits aren't the only unusual personal routine they've shared with the public. When they stopped by Dax Shepard's podcast, Armchair Expert, in 2021, the conversation turned to hygiene, with Kunis admitting, "I don't wash my body with soap every day." Kutcher jumped in and added, "I wash my armpits and crotch daily, and nothing else ever." And if they are to be believed, they don't particularly care how often their kids get clean either. As Kunis put it, "That's how we feel about our children. We're like, oof, something smells." Once again, members of the public voiced their displeasure over learning such intimate details of this couple's daily life. As one person tweeted, "As an adult, you control your level of nasty. But your kids?" Kunis then addressed the backlash on the Ellen DeGeneres show. As she explained, "It's so dumb. We bathe our dogs. Does that make people happy? My intent every day is to bathe my children." However, with family life being as hectic as it is, that doesn't always happen. As Kunis also admitted, "Bedtime happens and I forgot to feed them." In 2023, Ashton Kutcher starred in the Netflix rom-com Your Place or Mine. While promoting the film, he appeared on various red carpets alongside his co-star Reese Witherspoon, and some photos went viral due to the star's awkward body language. In many of them, Witherspoon seemed displeased as she physically turned herself away from Kutcher. The online response was ruthless, with some people even jokingly begging them to have an affair. Mila Kunis was among the people who noticed that something appeared to be off in those photos, as her husband revealed on an episode of the Chicks in the Office podcast.
"Guys, you gotta act like you like it." And I'm like, what is going on?
However, Kutcher insisted that there was no bad blood between himself and Witherspoon. Instead, they were worried about how to pose together so that it didn't look like they were too close.
Reese and I are really good friends. We're really close.
Ashton Kutcher was an early investor in Airbnb, the business that lets you book a stranger's home for a vacation. At first, he wasn't sure that anyone would ever want to use the service, but then he ended up living in an Airbnb himself for a while, after his divorce from Demi Moore. As he explained on The Howard Stern Show, "It's become more than just a place to stay. It's become a community. I think it brings the world together." Then, in the summer of 2023, Kutcher decided to put his mouth where his money is, as he and Mila Kunis put their guest house up for rent. They reportedly offered to create content with people who booked a stay. It was only available for one day, and you had to be invited to book, which led to a confusing experience for everyone involved. But it seems that someone did indeed rent the guest house, as evidenced by a video posted on Kutcher's Instagram.
Why are we doing this?
Airbnb is a platform that brings strangers together.
In 2023, Danny Masterson was tried and convicted of 2 counts of rape and sentenced to 30 years to life in prison. Before his sentence was handed down, Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis wrote character letters in support of their former That 70s Show co-star. The letters ended up being published online, with Kutcher's reading in part, "As a friend, Danny has been nothing but a positive influence on me. He's an extraordinarily honest and intentional human being." Kunis, meanwhile, wrote, "His unwavering commitment to being an exceptional older brother figure to me has had a transformative impact on my life, instilling in me a sense of self-belief and encouraging me to aim for greatness, but all while maintaining a sense of humility." In the wake of Masterson's conviction, Kutcher and Kunis' public support of him unsurprisingly resulted in some backlash. Christina Ricci, for one, took to her Instagram story to write, "Sometimes people we have loved and admired do horrible things. They might not do these things to us, and we only know who they were to us, but that doesn't mean they didn't do the horrible things, and to discredit the abused is a crime." In the wake of the backlash to the character letters in support of Danny Masterson, Ashton Kutcher announced that he was stepping down from the board of Thorn, an organization he had co-founded that was set up in 2009 to fight child sex trafficking. As he wrote in a letter to the board, "Victims of sexual abuse have been historically silenced, and the character statement I submitted is yet another painful instance of questioning victims who are brave enough to share their experiences." Kutcher and Mila Kunis also responded to the backlash with an apology video on Instagram that ended up raising even more questions than it answered. The two of them looked like they were reading from a script, and Kunis appeared frustrated that she had to address the letters at all.
We support victims. We have done this historically through our work and will continue to do so in the future.
And as Kutcher explained, they were intended for the judge to read and not to undermine the testimony of the victims or to re-traumatize them. The response to the video turned out to be about as negative as it was to their character letters in the first place. As an editorial response on Variety noted, "If the aim was to present us with a frank dose of Ashton and Mila letting us into their world, it missed the mark. If you or anyone you know has been a victim of sexual assault, help is available. Visit the Rape, Abuse, and Incest National Network website or contact RAIN's National Helpline at 1-800-656-HOPE 4673.